Coming at you from the ATL, from inside the paint and beyond the arc. This is Nothing But Nest, your Atlanta Hawks podcast. Now, here are your hosts, DeShaun Tate and Caleb Johnson.
Welcome into Nothing But Nest, episode 30. Caleb Johnson here with my co-host DeShaun Tate as we talk all thing Atlanta Hawks here on this Odyssey podcast. DeShaun, I'm going to start off here. I'm not even going to ask how you're doing because I have to imagine that you're doing pretty optimistic. You're doing pretty well. Yeah. I just want to point out the fact that we have now recorded more episodes of this podcast than the Atlanta Hawks have wins. You know, I'm sorry. Is that should we restart the podcast and be more positive?
No. Caleb, glass half full.
Empty over here. Okay,
you're gonna eat these words.
So okay, and that's fine. Hey, at least we let the people know where we stand. As yes, of course, the Atlanta Hawks right now are at the All-Star break. Thankfully, they get about 8 days off before they pick up the, as Trae Young called it on Wednesday, Trae called it the second half of the season. And I think, you know, DeShaun, I think that must be where you're getting it from, where you keep talking about the second half of the season and all of us are looking around going, well, out of 82 games, there is 24 left. So can't really call it the second half of the season, the last little quarter, the crumbs of the brownie pan. That's about what's left of this Atlanta Hawks season. And I love producer Rick. Yeah, getting us with the letting the people know where we stand. And it's fine because I would love nothing more, DeShaun, than to eat my words. But the Atlanta Hawks are 29-30. Instead of getting a game closer to the New York Knicks at the 7th seed, they got a game further away at the 8th seed at 3.5 games now, and still, yes, second in the Southeast, because that's so important, right? That the Atlanta Hawks, don't get any worse than the Charlotte Hornets, right? I mean, I don't know, or the Orlando Magic. I really don't know that the bar is very high in that regard. But I'll start here, DeShaun, with my glass half empty. The Atlanta Hawks played 8 final quarters, so 2 games. Their final 2 games, they never led by a single point in those
Caleb,
8 quarters.
Have you been looking at the answer key? Have you been looking at the handy dandy notepad on what I'm scribbling chicken scratch over here? That is legit at the top of.
Well, so you must have seen. See, your subconscious must have seen my tweet last night, because I sent that out after the post game that I was waiting for it, because I was like, I don't know, maybe this team's got a fourth quarter comeback in them, and so I'm not gonna send it yet. And then 000 hit, and it was like, oh, all right. 8 straight quarters, the Hawks lose to the Charlotte Hornets, and then come home and lose 120-101 to the New York Knicks. DeShaun, do you happen to know the Atlanta Hawks record at the All-Star break last season?
No, I don't.
Okay. So
and I'm not sure that it matters, but I'll let you go for it, because guess what? If all we're gonna do is be talking about in comparison to last year, it's a whole new year. It's a different team. If you can't tell by looking at the bench and the production that they bring, and that's not pointing the fingers all at them, because it's also on 11. It's also on every single person that is wearing that uniform, including one particular that's not wearing a uniform as well. So listen, let me tell you something, and I know that I do apologize for rudely interrupting you. I do understand. In fact, I understand the frustration. I see exactly why people are looking. I do get it when I say glass half full and remaining optimistic and positive, especially about something turning around in after the All-Star break that people looking at me like I'm crazy. I understand why. I'm seeing the same thing. It's not a, well, what is he seeing? It's this vibe and this energy that I get, that I think that this team is really going to begin to turn things around. Are they going to go on a 10-game win streak? Probably not. In fact, there is no probably. They're not. But I will say enough to say that it's not going to be very surprising when people start talking about finally the Atlanta Hawks that we thought we would expect to see this year finally shows up. Finally, this and that, and how did Trey not make the All-Star roster, and where have things been? Should Nate now retain his job after this run? That all of these different things. So I do want you to know that I do see what you and many other Hawks fans. Listen, you've already been off of the Hawks already. You got your Atlanta United flag in the back. You got, is that a Hawks shirt? Go ahead.
No,
Show the people.
That's a Hawks.
That's not important.
That's a Hawks flag.
That's not important. Show your Hawks shirt. Show your Hawks shirt. Show your Hawks shirt.
It's baseball season, man.
Okay, the most disrespectful thing I done heard it all. Go ahead, Caleb.
we on to the next, right, DeShaun? No.
Clearly.
And look, like, this is part of the conversation that I do want to have is based on the Hawks' performance. I'm seeing something, and I know that in no way, shape, or form can you gauge the pulse of a fan base solely from social media. I know that's an incredibly dangerous thing to do. However, when you start going to the message boards, when you start going to the Facebook, when you start going to the Twitter, when you start going to the Instagram, I'm telling you, like, people are not happy about this team. I think the most eye-opening thing that I saw on a message board was some fans starting the conversation of, hey, I'm a season ticket holder. I don't think I'm renewing mine next year. Who else is thinking along the same lines? And that's something that, like, this team, this front office, this ownership group, they got to pay attention to, because they're doing this for money, right? Like, they're keeping this team together like it is for money, right? Because they want to make money and they want to continue to grow. And of course, the championship is part of those aspirations. But at the end of the day, you don't, and I hate using that phrase, but in fairness, you don't go trade for a star of DeJounte Murray's caliber and then decide to go cheap, like, so let's put our priorities where they are. And I feel like kind of try to gauge realistically where things are. You said you have some optimism about where this team can go, what it can do in those final 24 games. I'm telling you, I'm extremely concerned. I saw some things being at the arena, being around the locker room I'll say before the Knicks game, there wasn't anything too crazy. During that game and then after that game, the vibes, man, the vibes are bad. The vibes are absolutely bad. I like, one thing I will point to, and I need to go back and I need to find the exact moment because it was in the first quarter. Trae Young goes up for a layup. He gets fouled. He hits the ground. What normally happens when your teammate hits the ground? Everyone else or whoever's close by comes by, extends an arm, picks your man up, and you go about shooting your free throws. I saw in the first quarter, Trae Young hit the deck and then look around, and Hartstein, the big dude from New York, was right there, and he ended up using Hartstein and kind of pushed himself back up. And there was nobody around. Everybody was going to go, hold my knees and get in position for some free throws. And not that that's like how they feel about Trae all the time. And not that, like, Trae is not the only problem here. DeJounte Murray had 6 points against the Knicks, against a team that you need that win. Yeah, and then the other element that I'll say that I got the feeling that the vibes are off is Nate McMillan coming to the podium talking about the fact that this Hawks team is mentally and physically fried. He used the word fried. He said they're mentally and physically fried, and that hopefully they'll use the All-Star break to rejuvenate themselves, to kind of, figure things out once again. And we were all kind of like, well, why do you think they're fried? And do you think every team is fried? And Nate was like, the Knicks weren't fried. The Knicks came out here, they played physical. The reason why the New York Knicks won that game is because from the jump, from jump ball, they played physical. The officials learned that physicality and called the rest of that game based on first quarter physicality. The Hawks, on the other hand, thought they were going to play this as this is the game before the All-Star break, so we're all just going to sit around, sing Kumbaya, shoot threes, and not really touch each other too much. And when we do, oh man, it's super physical. And yeah, guys are catching elbows. John Collins ends up likely with a concussion. We don't know yet, and I don't think they're going to tell us. But so many different things, from Hornets to Knicks to after that game to Trey coming to the podium, not really wanting to talk and no one really having a lot of questions for him, to then Trey leaves and we're waiting for another player, and we finally got the word from Hawks PR that this is going to be the end of our press conference period today. And it was like, oh, no one else is talking. Okay. Everyone else says we're going on vacation. So Cancun on 3, DeShaun. That's really how I feel this Hawks team is playing. And I would love nothing more than to look incredibly stupid when this Hawks team comes back next Friday and, hopefully shocks the Cleveland Cavaliers on a back-to-back. Sorry, I know I went on my long soliloquy there, but had to get it off my chest.
No, I get it, Caleb. Listen, you're not the only one that's frustrated about the situation. Yeah, they look fried in
Yeah.
more ways than one, and I'm not just talking about mentally and physically. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
I do dare for Hawks Nation, those that are diehard and willing to stand by, stick with, believe in their team. I know that they're not giving you much of a reason because I see that too. But to keep that exact same energy, um, you know, they've got to give you something to root for, and I get
Yeah.
that part too. Um, you know, my question for quite some time is like, who's the leader in the locker room where it starts? We talk about where things start, okay? A lot of times when you're talking about children acting up, doing this, doing that, starts in the home, right?
Mm-hmm.
It starts with the parenting in the home before anything. This starts in their home, which is in their locker room, whether that is on the road or whether that is at home. Okay. They've got to find that piece who is that leader, that veteran leadership, that emotional leader. Who's the glue piece? Who's the vocal leader? Who's the muscle on this team? Where's the pride at? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and those are things that everybody has to answer for. I just, I'm it's always interesting to me from this standpoint when the team isn't doing well. Look this up for me, Caleb. I don't know if you got your one of your fancy, like what do you call it, MacBooks and all that kind of good stuff.
I got you. What you need?
What was, and I'm not saying it's the same team. I'm not sitting there about to duplicate and go and do the same thing. I'm just simply curious. At this point, where was this team once Lloyd Pierce got let go? What was the
Okay.
record? Because I think they got rid of I think they got rid of him on the 1st of March.
Okay.
Yeah. So what year are we talking about now? Is that
That's
21?
2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, on March 1st, what was their record at that time? Because they were stinky, they were bad. I mean, clearly you're letting a guy go at that point in time, so things had to have been pretty bad. I remember when this team was the worst defensive team in the league and couldn't do this right, couldn't do that right. While you're looking that up, I'm gonna throw a couple things
No,
out
I
there
found
about
it.
where we at?
So now we have to remember this was the shortened season. This is
Absolutely.
the season they didn't play 82.
That's fine. Where
Um,
were they at from a percentage standpoint? Because right now they're just under 500, which is really embarrassing. And, I don't want to think about it too much, Caleb, because I don't want to show everybody what I had for lunch and dinner today.
yeah. They were 15 and 20 on that
Okay.
day.
Okay. So what is that? 35 games?
Excuse me, 14. They were 14 and 20 because they won what was Nate McMillan's first game.
Okay. So what is that? Out of 30, what is that? 34 games, right?
Yeah,
Half of 34 is 17. So they weren't even 500.
41%.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. We saw what they were able to do. We saw what they were capable of. I don't have any inkling or anticipation that Nate isn't going to be the coach. You know, I don't see his tenure as the coach, being shortened before the year ends.
I don't know anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
And I don't want to cut your point off too much. Just really quick,
No, no, we're good.
I like I am of the belief. I've said it before. Yes, I have sources, and no way am I, like deeply sourced up with the Atlanta Hawks. But I
Mhm.
have strong beliefs that Nate McMillan was going to walk away when the rumors came out that Nate McMillan was going to walk away. The information that I have also is that Nate McMillan was convinced to stay because they wanted some cohesion, because they wanted, sure. I think there was that incentive for him to some extent. Maybe hey, we'll pay out the rest of your deal. If you,
Just
because
stay through the BS.
yeah, because he's got another year. However, we are seeing things that do really concern me where, especially around the trade deadline, I've asked Nate McMillan a couple of times about the communication between he and Landry Fields, and he was essentially, he avoided that question and was like, I coach Landry, GMs, kind of one of those
Hmm.
things that makes me go, okay, so you guys aren't really talking. Landry's doing things for the future of this team, and he's just kind of being like, here's what you got, go figure it out. And some of the decision making that, and I won't go say all of the decision making because I know fans really love to go and like everything Nate does is wrong. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Um, but he is doing some things that I don't think are in the best interest of this team, rotationally, and how he uses guys' minutes and pulls guys right as they're getting hot and that sort of thing. Um,
The
and so,
rotational stuff.
yeah, yeah. And so that makes me think like, okay, there is only 24 games left. And so if you think there is a big enough disconnect between Nate and Trey and the rest of the team, then go ahead, if that's what your plan is to do. But I don't think I don't think they do. I think they are gonna finish out these 24 games, and then there will be a Woj and a Shams tweet saying that Nate McMillan and the Atlanta Hawks mutually part ways. I think that's coming.
15. Give me 15 wins after the break.
You want 15 of these 24 games to be wins. A
15.
team.
Give me 15. Well, 15, 14. Give me 14, 15 wins. Nothing less. Everything else is unacceptable. Everything else is uncivilized. Let me tell you something. When you're shooting the way you did against. You didn't know I had words in my bag. You
Uh-huh,
know,
yeah.
I got a bag a little bit. You know,
Okay.
I'm no Ivy League degree holder and
I got you.
all these different HDs and all that kind of PhD. I ain't got all that, but
HDs.
it don't take all of
What are you,
that
a
either,
TV?
Caleb. Sure, but it doesn't take all of that, Caleb, to see that shooting 19. I mean, I looked at what the Knicks shot at the end of the game from three. I saw 32%. I said, geez, damn, that's bad. The Hawks shot 19. You couldn't even get out of the teams.
That was
Okay.
yeah, 5 threes. That's their worst number of threes in a game this season.
Dude, it's February, dead and smack in the middle of winter. The team is shooting worse from three than the temperature in Michigan. Like
Yeah.
it's like it is. I'm trying to find me another fancy Caleb word. It is atrocious. Okay. Not
Mhm.
only that, but when you start looking at what these teams shot, uh, New York, their starters shot 6 for 26 from three. And if that's not bad enough, when you have these type of performances by not just a team, but a team that America has loved for so many years, that has underachieved for so many years, that nobody gave the Hawks a chance against when they was on their run to the Eastern Conference Finals. Hawks beat them in five. You know that they're going to come out aggressive. None of that stuff is surprising. Okay,
Mhm.
the refs. I I'll stay away from whether the game was called one way or the other because that doesn't have for one team versus
Yeah.
the other. I don't like to make those kind of excuses because the reality is that you can't use that when your starters shot 3 for 17. But you have to take advantage of teams like the Knicks that shot so bad. They're coming into your house. You see how they treat you when you go to their house, but now
Yeah.
they're coming to your house. And I know that this is all about Southern hospitality and you know, you know, good old Southern. Hey, how y'all doing and all that. That's out the window when New York come to town. New York is New York. New Yorkers are New Yorkers. Okay, there ain't no level of respect, this, that, and the other. They spit on the man for crying out loud. Like there's
Yeah.
all these different things. You have to come out. You got to come out and play. This to determine whether you're elite. I mean, it's not the biggest deal to everybody, but this was going to determine whether you're going to go into the All Star break at least average 500 or
Mhm.
not. You get out rebounded by 15. They triple your pretty much triple the amount of fast break points that you have. You had no leads in the whole game, and because I'm Mr. Optimistic, because I'm Mr. Glass Half Full, I'll just say this much: it was nice to see a very small amount of turnovers on
Yeah,
last night.
their second fewest this season. That was I was like, okay. Um but you know why that drives me insane, Deshaun? Because how do you have 5 turnovers and lose the game by 21 points?
Yeah,
Like
that's called a
that's
skunk. Like I don't know where they call what they call that in Caleb's new generation vocabulary dictionary and all that.
Mhm.
We call that pass the sticks. You ever heard of pass the sticks,
I
Caleb?
have.
What is pass the sticks?
I don't
I'm
know what it
almost
is. I've
willing.
just heard it.
I'm okay. I was almost willing to bet my whole paycheck, but that wouldn't have got you very far because I got diapers and stuff. Listen, pass the sticks. Pass the sticks is it's a rule. It's a community rule where it's sitting there. We're playing video games.
Oh,
Me against
okay.
Caleb. And when whoever, if you either A in football get down by 3 touchdowns, that's 21 points, Caleb. Or if you get down by 21 in basketball on the video game, you got to pass the sticks over to the next person. The game ends right there. It's the mercy rule kind of deal. Like
Okay.
there's no coming back from that. They had a pass the sticks moment against the Knicks on their home floor. You lose by 21. They put 120 plus on your head. It's just not. It's. So I get where the Hawks fans are coming from. I see why Caleb Mr. Glass half empty? I'm not here to tell you that I don't understand those things, Hawks fans. I'm just here to tell you that I've seen it happen before, and I think they have the roster to do it. The thing for me is they just have to come together as that fist that Nate is always talking about. You got to use this time. Forget about going out to, let me tell you something. This is what will disappoint me. And I know people are going to say, oh, this and that. Forget about going out to, the food's terrible out there anyways. Forget about going out to Salt Lake City this weekend. There shouldn't be no Salt Lake City for nobody. Okay? Forget about going and hanging with whoever. Okay? I don't care if it's Migos. I don't care if it's your best friend from down the street, whoever or whatever. There needs to be team meetings. So we need to find out exactly how serious guys are about trying to win basketball games.
But
All these outings and all this, there's got to be something, Caleb, because sacrifices have got to be made here. And sometimes when you got to make those sacrifices, it's something that everybody has to do. And you got to get on one accord. I don't know if you need a team meeting and guys calling each other out. I don't know if guys need to put the gloves on and box it out with whoever that they got things going on with. But something has got to give if they're doing what I think that they're more than capable of doing.
I think we're past that. I think we are at a point with this team where they're just like, it is what
Whatever.
it is. You know, like we'll go out here. If we shoot well, we'll win games. If we go out here and we, play against the Knicks and get good looks and put up what are good shots and they don't fall. All right. Oh, well, because here's my thing. So we found out during the media session practice on Tuesday. Tuesday talked with coach, and he said they had a 90-minute defensive film session based on what happened to them against Charlotte, where they gave up 144 points. And then you go play the Knicks and you gave up 122. So I'm just like, I don't know that. I don't know. I don't see the connection there.
It's about the accountability. You've got to,
and there isn't enough of it.
And there's not, and then, I've been banging this drum for a long time, saying that I just don't believe that you have enough adults.
No.
It's fine to have these talented young guys. It's fine to have, we talked about Ivan Johnson the other day. Where's the Ivan Johnson guy?
Yeah.
Facetiously speaking, kinda only. But where's the enforcer? Who's the Draymond guy? I'd rather you punch a guy in the face. You know what I'm saying? Right now, for guys not doing what they need to be doing, I'd much rather you punch a guy in the face.
Let me
Who's
ask
the
you,
Marcus Smart guy? Who's the guy that played for Oregon that plays for Memphis? The guy that used to play for the Oregon Ducks, but he currently plays for the Grizzlies. The enforcer, the light skinned guy with the braids and whatever. Dylan Brooks. Who's the Dylan Brooks guy?
Dylan Brooks is all.
Yeah, but that's fine. But guess what? But what are we gonna do? This?
Well,
I feel confident about saying Dylan Brooks will at least stand up. He might be about a lot of whooping and maybe he may not throw a lot of hands, but I'm gonna make sure that I'm protecting my star player in John Morant. I'm gonna make sure that you know what I'm saying? Like, where's the guy that's like no nonsense? Where's the guy that's like, look, huddle up. Whatever problem you got with him and that you got with him or that you have with him and that he has with you and this, that, and the third, like, who's the guy that's pulling everybody together and is like, I'm sick of this shit. If y'all don't want to play, excuse my French, because I'm feeling it right now, Caleb. I'm in the zone.
Here's my thing, DeShaun. That leads to a very uncomfortable conversation, but one that I keep seeing getting brought up of, was this not what you expected to get out of DeJounte? Was this not?
It's gonna be it's gonna be uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah,
Guess
but
what? I want it to be uncomfortable. I want to know who's the guy that's gonna say, you know what? If y'all don't want to play, y'all go ahead and sit out. If y'all don't want to play, don't come to the arena again. If y'all don't want to play, don't do this. Don't. I only want the guys that's gonna come out here, play the best, be the best brand of the version of themselves, and be the best brand of Atlanta Hawks. When you put on this uniform, you're putting it on with pride. You're going out there and you're playing for the city of Atlanta. I know people may not think the highest of Atlanta Hawks basketball and all the tradition that some of these other places, but you have a chance to transcend something here. You wanted your star player, you got it. You wanted the Robin to go with it or another star player to go, you got it. There's so many. You wanted rebounding, okay? You had the number one rebounding guy in the league a year ago or 2 years ago. You got it. You wanted defense. You wanted somebody to play on both sides of the ball, 3 and D, and all these other fancy words they throw out there. You got that too. You wanted bench players, contribution, role play. You have all these different things. Now it's time to just cut the excuses and really be about what you're talking about. But again, what I'm trying to hammer home is that at the end of the day, I don't know why I keep saying, but at the end of the day, you gotta come with that pride. Who's with me? I'm putting the team on my back and leading by example. If y'all want to be over here acting like divas or act like you coming to play sometimey and all that, stay where you are. But we're going out here and giving effort. If you lose by 20 or 30, you lose to the Knicks by 21. You let Charlotte score 144 on you or whatever the case may be. That's one thing. But to do it without pride, that's more disturbing than teams who are supposed to beat you by that much going out there and doing it.
I'm right there with you. I do want to be able to get in a conversation a little bit about All-Star Weekend, just because with the kind of your old school, me a little new school type kind of thing. Look, just I wanted to get your thoughts on where we are as a league hosting this All-Star event, and if it's catching your attention or not. So of course, the Hawks do have one player technically in the All-Star weekend. Is AJ Griffin's already there? He'll compete in the Jordan what is it? The Rising Stars Challenge. He'll
Mm-hmm.
compete in the Rising Stars on Friday. AJ was picked 14th amongst players, which did kind of surprise me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, Paolo Banchero was the first overall pick, but between it was what Pau Gasol, Deron Williams, and Joakim Noah that were those are the three teams, and they play like a round robin type deal, like elimination style. But yeah, it was AJ Griffin was picked one pick behind Jose Alvarado, which was, I don't know, interesting. Just found it interesting. But DeShaun, when it comes to Rising Stars Challenge, when it comes to the Skills Challenge, when it comes to 3-point contest, when it comes to Slam Dunk, what is your favorite event? Like, what's drawing you in to watch? Or is the answer none?
I don't really, it's not really drawing a lot of interest for me.
Okay. Why not?
The All-Star game definitely does not draw interest for me.
Okay.
It's not enough. I'm not expecting for guys to go out there and compete like it's a championship. Um, but essentially being Harlem Globetrotters all over again, I'm not feeling that. And just scoring a bunch of points on one another and letting guys blow by and just do whatever they want, essentially. It's all just for the fun, showing everybody, that we can all be on the court at the same time. They're not selling the game. They're selling the rosters. They're selling guys all being on the floor at the same time that never are all at the same time. just to see what it could potentially look like. A bunch of offense, which everyone loves right now because that's just what basketball is, thanks to Caleb's generation, of course. The dunk contest, I might check if I might check out a little bit of that. I might check out a
I
little bit.
always
But
I
it's
always
gotten so
do.
discouraging. It's
Yeah,
gotten
no,
discouraging.
I'm with you. Do you know who's competing this year in the dunk contest?
Yeah,
Would
Mac
you like?
McClung, your favorite.
Yeah. White Mike, because they gotta have one of us competing in it because it's Utah. But no, the list, Deshaun, for guys competing in the dunk contest: Trey Murphy the third. Okay, Jericho
Oh,
Sims.
Kmart. Oh yeah, I don't know
Jericho
about.
Sims.
Yeah, I'm not feeling good about that. I feel good about Kmart though. If Kmart can't do nothing else, I mean that's why Kmart is in this league. If you ask me, so
Yeah,
much like his daddy in those regards. Is it
Kenyon
those
Martin, of
three and
course.
who else? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Kenyon Martin, who you're talking about, who
yeah, you
is
wasn't
in
thinking.
it.
I was gonna say were we talking about the store, but you're not old enough to remember the store Kmart. Go
What you
ahead.
talking about?
Yo, no, but no Kmart,
Oh,
Caleb.
don't
Let's
do
just
that
go
to
on to the next.
me.
Let's just name the guys that are
Oh,
participating. No,
don't
Kmart.
do that to me. My mom was so upset when the Kmart in Covington closed because
Yeah.
that was one of her stores. Anyways, but yeah, so Trey Murphy the third, Jericho Sims, Kenyon Martin Jr., and Matt McClung. That is the four. That's it.
And for whatever reason, as soon as I start thinking like, all right, this seems like a no-brainer, it's got to come down to Mac McClung and Kmart. But as soon as you start thinking that, there's always something that happens where
Mm-hmm.
one of those guys who you anticipate being in the finals just can't even lay the ball up if it was a layup contest. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Just
And they
can't.
just never make it, and then you end up seeing one guy versus the other, and it just doesn't have the same effect
Are
that you
you
thought that it could in your mind before it started.
are you a guy who like whoever is dunking has to do it first attempt? Because I am.
I'm
If you don't
I'm
do it
de-
first attempt, I don't really care. I don't care
no,
how good it is.
I'll put it to you like this. I'm the guy like you have to do it on the first attempt. If you don't do it on the first attempt, you got to do a different dunk.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a backup dunk
Sure.
that automatically go to. Like you can't try the same dunk. I don't even know how many seconds they get to do it if they're even still doing it like this anymore. But if they give you 30 seconds, you can't try the same dunk for 25 seconds. And then on the last one, you just got to do something simple like a
But
quick little,
that's what ends up happening. Like
yeah,
9 times out of 10, that's what ends up happening is you got a guy who attempts the same thing like 7 times and then, oh, let me get out here right before my time's up and let me just throw
yeah,
my
do
arm in the
something. Yeah,
rim and hold on.
yeah,
Like
yeah. Let me ask you this, Caleb. And maybe this is just me. I don't
okay.
know. But there was a guy who's participating this weekend, particularly in the 3-point contest, who was in an Atlanta Hawks uniform last year. He gets dealt to another team.
Mm-hmm.
He starts looking like a whole nother human being that I have no idea who he is. Not only that, but he's getting so much love by so many different people, not just in the market of where he is, but just making his name known, making himself known beyond what his role was with the Atlanta Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's making him look amazing, like, and with him participating in the 3-point contest, I can't tell you that if he was still on the Hawks roster, honestly, that he would even be participating in it. Like, are you feeling some type of way about that a little bit? Because I am. It's
I,
almost gives you that feel of gotta go somewhere else. Like, just imagine if all of a sudden Cam Reddish got his ish together when he went to New York, and you kind of got to sit back. Like, do you not root for, but do you? It leaves you with a little bit of an empty feeling. Like, well, why couldn't that be us? We see how bad they look from three already as it is.
mm-hmm.
It's gonna look really bad if Kevin Herter goes out there and lights it up.
Yeah, if Kayvon, look, that's the thing. Like we all knew that Kevin Herter was pretty talented. Now,
Yeah.
where you saw his talent level varied amongst person to person. And I do think that a lot of people saw him on this Atlanta Hawks team as, he's better served on the bench. And like, if you had to decide DeJounte Murray or Kevin Herter, come on now, that's a no-brainer
Sure.
type of situation.
Sure.
However, maybe if you were DeJounte Murray and Kevin Herter next to him, I don't know. That'd be interesting. Anyways, but yeah, no, I think this is a situation where I'm gonna root for Kayvon because he didn't throw a fit and get himself traded out of the city. Like, he loved playing for Atlanta. And he was actually, it seemed like, pretty hurt when he got dealt in the way that he did. And so I want to see him be successful. It's like, it's the person who gets out of that bad relationship and they get into a new one. And you're just happy for them, that they found something that works for him. And I mean, he's in a pretty competitive, I do have to say, he's in a pretty competitive 3-point contest against Tyrese Halliburton, Tyler Hero, Buddy Hield, Damian Lillard, Lauri Markkanen, Jason Tatum, and then Anthony Simmons isn't in it anymore. He got subbed out for somebody, and I can't remember who it is now.
That's a good. Hey, listen,
but,
that's a good lineup. If you asking me what I'm looking forward to the most this coming up in All-Star Weekend, that's where the talent is. I can't tell you that. I can't tell you you're gonna see a whole lot of talent in Salt Lake City, but there's gonna be some decent talent in that 3-point contest. And I don't know what you win. I would imagine you win some sort of, beyond the trophy, you win some sort of money for winning the 3-point contest.
Yeah, probably.
So I might have to catch up with Mr. Herter and tell him I'm putting a little interest on that $25 he owed me, just so that we're clear.
You're still on this, huh?
I'm on my 20. I want my 25, man. I want my 25.
Yeah, I'm with you though that out of all of the competitions this year, for sure, it's the 3-point contest. It's got the most stars, and like that's one of the things that I think people are so frustrated with when it comes to the dunk contest. Is it's like we've always wanted the stars, and you used to get them until they became too cool for it, and now there's got to be some incentive put back into that thing. Because I know, like, for one, I'm expecting Matt McGlung to win this thing simply for the fact of, like, he spoke earlier this week on, I've got 3 dunks that no one's ever seen before. Wow. And I'm like, okay.
Maybe he's going to put his whole body in the damn thing.
I got no idea.
I feel like we've seen about everything. Like, I'll tell you what, I felt like it was going to a really bad spot until I saw the stuff that Zach LaVine could do.
Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon?
Yeah. And I was like, all right, you know what? It's heating up now, because they were doing things that I haven't seen people do since Neek and Mike, like in terms of gliding in the air. And I remember one time he went up from, I don't know if it was free throw line or whatever, but he came from very far and wrapped it around his back. And then another one, I can't even remember what the hell he did. I can't even draw somebody that can do something like that, let alone. Like, I think I want to see. Mac says, like, Mac has some ups. I don't know how much you've seen Mac, Caleb.
I've seen him,
but Mac can get up there.
That's what got him on. You talk about, how
with him being white and stuff too. That makes it different.
Yeah, but that was like what got him attention at Texas Tech. What got him attention at Georgetown. It was, it was the flashy stuff. The impressive dunks. I hope he does. I hope he brings some competition to that once again, and it's entertaining and worth watching. But my money's still on the fact that the 3-point contest is probably going to be the more competitive and interesting event of that whole All-Star weekend. Real quick, before we do get out of here, I do want to look, because I don't know what our schedule is going to be like next week. We might, take a break with the Atlanta Hawks for at least an episode. until they get back and get ready for, the second half.
For the
Well,
run,
the
the
second
run.
half.
Get ready
Yeah,
for the
for the run.
run. Okay.
But I do want to pick up on this. When the Atlanta Hawks get back, you start out with Cleveland on Friday, next Friday, the 24th. Okay. Now you raise your eyebrows. Yes. However, Cleveland will be on game 2 of a back-to-back. So your first game back, you're catching a team already on their heels, I would say. You got to take advantage of that. You go to Brooklyn. Brooklyn doesn't have Kyrie Irving, doesn't have Kevin Durant anymore. And they do have some guys who can play.
Yes, they do.
However, you need wins. Washington follows that. And then Portland wraps up your homestand before you go out on the road for really what's one of the last real times, last road trips, last real road trips.
Sure.
But yeah, so those 4, that Friday through Friday, so that week of Cleveland, Brooklyn, Washington, Portland.
Yeah.
We're going to know everything we need to know about this team coming back from the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
I think so. Are they ready? I'm good. I got my spot on the sofa. Lazy boy, the thing that lifts the legs up and down, that still works. I'm ready. I'm good. I got some cold ones in the fridge. If you ever want to come over, we can check it out together. That way, me and you will both be ready, and there won't be no questions to ask. We'll even get Rick to fly out, and he'll come, hang out with us, producer Rick, and all that good stuff. The question is going to be whether they're going to be ready.
Fair enough.
I think that's the point. Like I'm so intrigued by what are you doing over the All-Star break. Each and every individual piece on that roster, I'm interested about that part. What are you doing? Are you going out to Salt Lake and hanging with the, I've been to
I don't think
All-Star. You been to
anybody.
All-Star? You been to All-Star weekend, Caleb?
So I got cheated. I got to be a part of All-Star Weekend here in Atlanta because of all the COVID stuff. It ended up just getting thrown together here in Atlanta, and it was all on Zooms.
Not the same.
It was not.
I know they cheated me out of my Final Four in Atlanta for COVID too. Whole nother conversation. But yeah, don't forget about that because I would definitely won't. But my thing is like, who's in the gym?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the guy that's like, I can care less. I'm not on it. Yeah, I'll be there maybe to root and support on or from a distance for AJ Griffin or whatever. But outside of that, it don't make me none. I'm just prepping to prove the doubters wrong. I'm showing, people why the Hawks can really be something special. And in the event that this team isn't going to be something special, or even potentially just look like they're a much improved team versus where they were in the first, what are we, 59 games in or whatever it is. Like, I'm not going to be the reason that people are going to say that that things didn't change.
Sure.
I did my part. I want to know what the plans are. What's on the itinerary? Because I know how it works. I went to All-Star Weekend. What is this?
I was about to say, you want to know what people are doing? I can show you Instagram. Trae Young, 5 hours ago from us recording this, is sitting in the drive-through line at In-N-Out in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. You work up a little appetite.
Yeah. Get a little. Everybody needs their cheat day, right?
Yeah, I don't. The whole animal style thing. I couldn't never. You ever had In-N-Out?
I've never had In-N-Out. I know about it. I've heard all about it.
Overrated. It's almost as bad as the awful Waffle House. But listen,
you are not disrespecting Waffle House on this podcast. You're not doing it. No.
Hey, listen.
Not doing it.
We'll leave that there. We'll leave that there.
We are. We're conveniently running out of time.
Okay. I will say this in closing. I'm just curious to know who's the one in the gym. Who's the one? What is the mentalities? What is going through the mind? Because I think that's going to be a large part behind what they can really do if in the event that they want to make a run.
Fair enough. All right, folks. Well, like I said, we'll talk next week. We'll figure something out. I don't know if we'll have a full week's worth of pods, because I don't know, what are we even going to talk
Be
about?
ready, Hawks fans. Be ready to change your tune.
Yeah. Okay.
Be ready.
All right. Well, for my co-host DeShaun Tate, the optimist, the glass half full, I'm Caleb Johnson, glass half empty. Thanks for listening and watching to Nothing But Nest.